shine on the light. We all over the world, Chatnite Africa. We all over the world, Chatnite Africa. Welcome to Chatnite, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chatnite, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chatnite Africa. We all over the world, Chatnite Africa. Welcome to Chatnite, the only place that we give you good vibe. Chatnite Africa. Welcome to Chatnite, all over the world we are shining the light. Chatnite Africa. Welcome to Chatnite.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Voices of Africa. Like him or hate him, Mr. Bola Tinubu is now the president of Africa's most populous country, Nigeria. He was sworn in as the 16th president on May 29, 2023 by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Critics call Mr. Tinubu Nigeria's selected president. His supporters dismiss that as ridiculous, arguing that no elections anywhere in the world are perfect, not even elections in the United States. The politically convoluted atmosphere today in Nigeria aside, Bola Tinubu is president. Elections are about the future. So, what future for Nigeria with the new man at the helm? That's the core of our broadcast, Voices of Africa, this week. My name is Divine Chamakong, and I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I will be right back.
It's the 29th of May, the day when Nigeria transitions from one administration to another every 4 years. The Eagle Square in Abuja is littered with security agencies and radiates beauty from the decorations and the colorful outfits of invited guests who await the arrival of the main actors of the day, the outgoing and incoming president. In attendance are the outgoing Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, former President Goodluck Jonathan, and former Head of State General Yakubu Gowon, Presidents of Ghana, Rwanda and South Africa, as well as government officials, federal lawmakers, royal fathers and state governors in whose states there will be no handover are all in attendance. The President-elect and his wife arrive and are received by the outgoing Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The arrival of President Muhammadu Buhari signifies the commencement of the event. Straight away, the Vice President-elect takes his oath of office, administered by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Then comes the man of the moment, Senator Bola Tinubu, for his oath of office.
I, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear.
The national and defense flags are lowered.
Chatnite Africa, Chatnite Africa.
I want to say thank you to those colleagues who covered that event in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, invited to take my questions is Nigerian American Global Affairs Analyst, Mr. Ed Okpa, live from the state of Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, join me now in welcoming Ed Okpa on the platform.
Well, thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Okpa, I can hear you very, very, very well. We're glad to have you on the show this week, Voices of Africa. The first question I have for you, and before I do, I want to really thank you for accepting my invitation. What would you say are the expectations of Nigerians as they look forward to, witnessing what President Bola Tinubu has for them? But before I get to that question, what would you say are the accomplishments, the achievements of the now former President Muhammadu Buhari?
Again, thank you for having me. I will always honor your invitation, bar anything that has to do with conflict of time. But before I get to your question or the answer to it, I want to correct some wrong impression. Nigeria doesn't have a 16th president, okay? Nigeria has only had 7 people who have had that title, and that is Zeke, Shagari 79, and then Obasanjo 1999, Yaradua, Jonathan, Buhari, and now Tinubu. So anybody saying that he is the 16th president, obviously they must have counted the military head of state who at the time, based on the way they got to office, were never considered president. They were head of government or head of state. So let's be clear on that. That's not, Tinubu is the 7th president of Nigeria, not the 16th. Anybody can, throw in the numbers. I just want to make that observation. Now that Tinubu has been, sworn in, however he got there by design or default, now, like they say in America, be careful what you ask for. He's now the leader of 200 or so million people, Nigerians. The number really doesn't matter. What really matters is what is he going to do? He's had the opportunity of being a governor of Lagos, the most populous. I don't even know whether it's the most populous state, because between Lagos and Kano, they always, talk about this number who is higher. But Tinubu has been there as governor and then, now president. Like I said in one of my write-ups, at the beginning of every semester, every student is given a benefit of doubt. They get A. As the semester goes in, we'll see who's going to hold on to the A or who's going to drop out incomplete. I really don't have any expectation of Tinubu. I don't think he has the charisma. I don't think he has the personality. I don't think he has the intellectual vigor, to do what is going to pop Nigeria, a very diverse and a very divided country in terms of ethnicity, tribalism, and all some of these things that pull at the core of the Nigerian. Is he going to now, based on the controversy that surrounded his, he's getting into office? Because let's not forget, there's still a lawsuit, pending. I don't know whether they're going to rule for or against, but there's a lawsuit. It's very unfortunate that he's still going to swear in somebody when there are substantial lawsuits about the election or the process. But now he is there. Let's see what is going to happen for Nigeria. Is he going to speak to Nigerians? Is he going to go around the country, or is he going to be like Buhari, who's just going to be in Aso Rock, and whenever he gets sick, Nigerians probably don't even know. He sneaks out. He's go to London and for medical checkup. In terms of your question on what did Buhari do, Buhari has, will go down as the most disappointing president Nigeria has ever had. Because when he was military head of state was when I was doing my national youth service. Nigeria was about to have a semblance of order, because Buhari at the time with his number 2, Tunde Idiabon, had what they call war against indiscipline. Because Nigerians, again, if you have observed Nigerians, they are the most indisciplined people, whether in their private gathering or in public gathering. He's ever interacted with them. They are too noisy, they are too disorderly, they don't follow orders. So Buhari and Tunde Idiagbon in 83 came in and wanted to, and the Nigerians were beginning to, recognize, get in line, wait for your turn. But that has since, gone by the wind. So Buhari came back. He fought after he was head of state for less than 2 years or so. He was overthrown by Babangida, and then he went into hiatus. But you could see that he had interest of getting back into politics. I think it was Abacha that made him managing director, some kind of, over the Petroleum Trust Fund, which again, nothing came out of that. And then, then Nigeria returned to civil rule in 1999, and then he started showing interest. He ran for a few times, and then 2015, he won because of, some sort of alliance between him and Tinubu. But when he got into office, in fact, at that time, some U.S. officials called me. I said, hey, do I know this guy? I said, well, I knew him, not that I know him personally. I knew him when I was doing my national youth service. And that if he were to bring back a fraction of what he did when he, 1983, war against indiscipline, and then Nigeria currency was still very strong. That he will be a good president because he's been there and he wants to redeem himself. This is more like a redemption. And it was funny, his vice president is a redeemed Christian pastor. So the two of them couldn't redeem Nigeria, because if you were to use the singular example of the Naira, when Buhari got in 2015, the exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar was less than 200. Now that he left office, is what is it called? Is about $1,300. So just using that, and then the number of crises, people killed, projects not well done, and he spent, for the 8 years he was in office, he spent a lot of time going to London for medical checkup. I don't know what is wrong with him. I hope he's feeling better now. But how can the president spent a lot of time, and sometimes people don't even know, and he doesn't transfer power to the vice president to do anything. So I'm not too impressed with him. But again, Nigeria will outlive anybody. He's out of the picture now. Let's see the new captain of the ship of state, Tinubu. Let's see what he's going to do. But again,
at Upper, the Buhari presidential communication team just put out a 119-page document stipulating a slew of things which President Buhari did. Some of them: road infrastructure, railway construction, road construction. I have a long list of the things here. So when you say that Buhari was a failure, are you saying that he did nothing or he did not do enough as you would have loved him to do?
Again, if I was his teacher and I was going to grade him, I would give him an F. In fact, I might even give him an H, which is horrible. Let's talk about the roads, okay? Nigeria, I just came back from Nigeria last month, April. I was there for like 10 days, and I did some of my travel by road. Do you know, since 1914, excuse me, when Nigeria was amalgamated, okay, to date, how many years is that? It's more than 100 and something years. So Nigeria does not have, again, I can challenge anybody for this, Nigeria does not have 1,000 miles of well-built road in that country. It's hard to drive 100 kilometers on any Nigerian road without potholes or diversions or cut off or all kinds of stuff. It's not just pouring concrete, grading it and calling it a road. It has to have connectivity. It has to be able to move people. What are roads for? Roads are logistics. So when you go to Nigeria, the rails that he said he built with, the Minister of Transport, the one that the fact there's even a rail they say goes from Nigeria to Nigeria because, Buhari, I don't know whether that is true, has a home in Nigeria. How many miles of rail did he build? And what did it cost him to build it? And how effective is that? If you were to go, if I was to go to Houston, Texas, Houston is 225 miles from Dallas. I can get in my car now, and in 3 or 4 hours, I'll be in Houston. And then I can come back and still get a good sleep for my schedule for tomorrow. I can't do that in Nigeria. Even if I have a siren, or armed people going with me, such a thing does not exist. There you go between Lagos and Ibadan. Lagos and Ibadan, or your state and Lagos state, is probably the highest dense area of West Africa, because you have 20 or so million people in Lagos, and then you have Oyo, you have Ondo, all those other states between. The distance between the two places is like 80 or 60 miles, which is like between here and Waco, Texas for me. I can go to Waco in 1 hour and come back. So what is the pride? I think what is wrong with Nigerians is this culture of low expectations. When their government officials do something for them, the government officials make it look like they're doing them a favor. It's not a favor, it's not their money. So Nigerians are not very critical of their leaders. Instead, they celebrate even every little thing. Talking about Nigeria, talking about infrastructure, divine. Do you know Lagos has no sewer system? Lagos has no water system. It's an open gutter place. In fact, the international airport in Ikeja, Lagos, which is the busiest airport in West Africa. Do you know when the airplanes land and they have to discharge the affluent, the waste they carry? The Nigerian Airway Federal Aviation Authority, they suck those things out and they discharge it in an open creek.
Just hold your thought right there. Looks like we have somebody on the line. You are watching Voices of Africa, and my guest on the show is Global Affairs Analyst Ed Okpa. Hello, good evening, welcome to Chatnite Africa. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we're listening to you. Good evening, welcome to Chatnite Africa's broadcast, Voices of Africa.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Not very clear. This is Charles, Mono.
Okay, just hold the line. Let me get back with you. Just give me a moment.
Okay,
I call
all
you
right.
phone back. Okay. Yes, sir. Ed Okpa, I will be connecting back with Mr. Charles Mono, who probably has a question or maybe wants to disagree with you. That is perfectly okay. You are watching Voices of Africa on Chatnite Africa. We will be getting now in touch with Mr. Charles Mono. Let me see, just 1 second here. Let me see, just 1 second, please. We will be getting in touch with Mr. Charles Mono for his question. Charles is from Nigeria. I want to specify that. It's important to specify that Charles is calling from Nigeria. So now we will get in touch with Charles Mono. Let's see, he should be on the line now. Voices of Africa on Chatnite. Hello, Charles.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. Yes, you must have been celebrating yesterday, were you?
I wasn't quite celebrating. I just watched the bits.
I mean, you have a head of state, a new head of state about to take leadership in Aso Rock. Why wouldn't you celebrate, Mr. Tinubu?
I'll be very candid with you. It wasn't a cause for me, especially for quite a lot of people, to celebrate the new president, because, as you're very much aware, there's ongoing, court cases, the other parties, challenging his nomination in court. So, it's just, I will say something like this, it wasn't quite a celebration, because people are not happy about the whole event.
I saw people dancing. I saw people dancing where he was. Tinubu was being inaugurated.
Dancing in Nigeria.
What you see is what they definitely have to show you, what they show to the world, to make it look as if it's something universal, but absolutely it wasn't. They will show you the ugly part of what's going on in the country too, you know. But anyway, we've all decided to give him a chance and watch events and see how he's going to perform.
What part of Nigeria are you from? Are you from, Charles?
I'm from the Delta. I'm from the Delta part of Nigeria, Delta State, Nigeria. That's where from Asaba, Nigeria. What
would you say were the accomplishments of now former President Muhammadu Buhari?
Accomplishment. That's a big word to ask. Accomplishment. Well,
you're not suggesting that for 8 years he was there and did nothing, are you?
Absolutely, nothing visible. You saw the state of the country. You saw the state. We needed someone to salvage the country, and you saw what went wrong during his 8 years in the office. Nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing was achieved. It was chaos, all true.
Charles, Charles.
Nigerians being resilient and everything else. You know, you can see how Nigerians survived. Yeah, it was. Sorry to talk about it.
Charles, if you were at Aso Rock today as one of the advisors to Bola Tinubu, what would you advise him to do?
First of all, we welcome the change anyway, no matter who it is. I think he will do much better. But my advice to him is to he has a lot to turn around. He has a lot to. If I were to advise him, the first thing I would advise him to do is to try as much as possible to do that people will say yes. I mean, he's here for a real change, in all honesty, and to convince the people that he was duly elected anyway, because, I mean, I don't know what to tell him, because right now, there are a lot of ongoing cases right now, because that hasn't been determined yet, you know, but let's just watch and see what happens, you know. Let's give him a chance, opportunity, you know, to prove himself. He has a lot to prove himself.
I mean, you are not so sure.
One thing is advise them, yeah.
You are not so sure that Tinubu can do so well, but he's been twice governor of Lagos, which is bigger than some African countries. Nigerians wouldn't vote for him twice if they didn't think he did a good job in the first place, would they?
Oh, please. You know how election goes, you know. When, you know, it's difficult here, everywhere in the world to defeat an incumbent. Once you're an incumbent and coming back for a re-election, you know how difficult it is to get incumbents out of power. So let's talk about Lagos State. He did very well. Let me give him that credit. He did very well in Lagos. He did absolutely very well in Lagos. But at the same time, you know, he leaves a lot, you know, to be desired by a lot of people. Because if you look at Lagos itself, you know, Lagos is big. Lagos is what, like I said, Lagos is one of the, you know, biggest cities, and it can compete with some African countries. So, but Tinubu did very well in Lagos. But we're talking about Nigeria now, Nigeria as a whole. You know, doing very well in Lagos wouldn't make you a good president. That's totally a different thing. You know?
My last question to you, Charles. A lot of people will be listening to this show, also from Nigeria, listening to you. What is the message you have for fellow Nigerians?
To be patient. Give him a chance to prove himself. You know, let's give him a chance to prove himself. Just to be patient and see what happens. I believe in Nigeria. I love my country, Nigeria. And I know God is with Nigeria. And it is God's wish that Tinubu should be there. So my own take to Nigerians is give him a chance. Let's just give him a chance to perform and see what happens from there.
Thank you so much, Charles. I have to say, Charles Mono is the guy who brought this outfit, which I'm wearing on the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Greg, for having me on your show. And I'm so happy. And I say thank you once again for having me on your show. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Charles Mono.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Mr. Ed Okpa do you have any comments to make on what Charles, your fellow countryman, has just said?
Look, if you ask 200 million Nigerians, they will give you 200 million answers. But my thing is, it has to be based on things that are undeniable, things that are factual. Road, public safety, public schools, universities, hospitals, paying people salaries on time. This is what people want to look at. It's not the mansion of the individual. It's not the degrees most Nigerians want to flash and talk about. It is when we get on that road, how is the road? Is that electricity coming to everybody uninterrupted? Nigeria, electricity came to Nigeria 1896. 127 years ago, and Nigerians still go out there, the most educated, the most all of this and all that. Smart people build their country, they don't destroy it. This chant, beer parlor comment, Nigerians are very smart. If you're smart, prove it with your country, prove it with your governors, prove it with the people whose conduct affect your daily things. Not that you go in your own little way, you have your generator, your water well, fence. Have you been to Nigeria? Every Nigerian lives in a mini prison. There are walls, not fences. 10-foot wall with barbed wires. And then you tell me they are doing well? You can't even come out in your neighborhood and take a walk. The whole place is physically depressing. Trash. Something, people talking about, Buhari, what is his name? Tinubu did well in Lagos. And what is it? But again, in a culture of low expectations, where a lot of people are victims of their own limited environment, they have nothing to compare it with. Most of them migrate from their village to the city. So, it's a huge stride in their life. But when you go to Nigeria and go to Lagos, open gutter, covered with filth, not being cleaned. They may clean a little, Lakey or Victoria Island, whatever. But that's not Lagos. Lagos you're talking about is smaller than Dallas County. It's only 1,200 square miles. It's the smallest real estate in Nigeria. It's having the benefit of every Nigerian that lives there. Even though it's in the western part of Nigeria, it's the Yorubas, physically, yes, but, there are more of every Nigerian in Lagos than anywhere else. So anybody who has been the governor of Lagos State should be a symbol of Nigeria, because you have had to deal with everybody. But for Bola Tinubu, he is the most tribalistic, backward-thinking individual. Look, I wish him well. I don't live there. I have been out of that place for how many years? But because I still have family. But it comes down to who is going to deliver Nigeria, who has that, inspiring personality, that when they speak to Nigerians, they are listening. The Nigerian leaders talk at Nigerians. When it suits them, they talk to Nigerians. They don't talk with Nigerians. Bola Tinubu, given the circumstances of how he has come to power, what he should do now is be a servant leader. He should in the next 100 days make trips to every zone in Nigeria and sit down and listen to them. What do you want? What do you guys want from me? I'm not a saint. I have stains, but I'm here as president. What do you expect from me? Forget the written documents put out to
Ed, if this guy's been governor for Lagos twice, doesn't
how did he become governor? That doesn't matter. That doesn't count. Look, I can.
But the question I'm asking you is, does that serve as some sort of experience? And let's take the case of the United States. Ronald Reagan, who was governor of California before he became president of the United States.
Okay.
And George Bush.
Nigeria is not America. The way the American states are, in fact, by their own constitution, they are nations. They are separate. So yes, you can be governor. It's a good political experience before you go to become president. But the Nigerian structure is not like the American structure. Okay. In Nigeria, only 37 people are important, the president and 36 governors. In fact, some of the governors are even, in fact, they're the reason Nigeria is backward, because the president, does what the president does. But these governors, they only have House of Assemblies. In the center, you have the House of Representatives and the Senate. In America, we have state Senate and state House of House of Representatives, and then the governor. And then our own state constitutions oftentimes takes what Nigerian states don't have constitutions. They drive whatever they do from what the Nigerian constitution has. So the comparison of American governor to Nigerian governor is a misplaced comparison. The point is that for the people that have governed Nigeria since independence, maybe Zeke and Tafawa Balewa, who has had the only title of prime minister, none of them has actually spoken to Nigerians. None of them has actually sat down and said, you know what, I have the responsibility of advancing this country. I mean, I'm giving you the exchange rate. If you had 1 million naira in 1999 when Obasanjo came in, you almost had $12,000. And today, 24 years after civil rule, or still into civil rule, 1 million naira is $1,300. If you're an economist, or if you're somebody who deals with money, present value, future value, holding period, and you saw for I, you will see the computer will start blinking. You would have gone to Yaoundé and come back. You still will not calculate that rate of devaluation. So how many Nigerian presidents are talking about that? Because it has made the naira worthless. The purchasing power of the naira has been weakened. But then you still have Nigerians, again, a lot of them are ignorant of what it is they expect from their leaders. When they see their leaders, they're almost like begging them, seeing what it is the leaders are going to give them. And that is why the country has gone the way it has gone, because the Nigerians are not very critical people. When you're critical, doesn't mean you're criticizing, you're asking, can we do more? But when they see their leaders, they're almost like falling on the ground, begging, let the big guy step on them or touch them. America is not like that. I have met presidents, I've hosted them. When I see American president, I don't bow, I shake their hand, I look them straight in the eye. But if you see the Nigerian president, they want you to bow, you want to be humble. You can be humble, but you don't have to be timid. Timidity is part of the African thing. That is why you have these people in office, they stay there forever, because that people don't ask them questions. No, let me tell you. No, let me finish. I'm the guest here. If Nigerian president is sick, who touches him? Who treats him? Not even Nigerian doctors. He goes to London. Do you know what that means for national security? You go into another country to go lay in bed in a sick hospital and have people poking at you, taking your blood, taking your picture, knowing everything about. If they wanna compromise you, they already have personal data about you. Any Nigerian leader who is what the name president should make the effort not to be treated abroad. Even if you have an illness, fly in the doctors. Find one military hospital in Abuja, make it the top hospital. Give the Nigerian doctors the opportunity to show what it is that they have. But no, any wealthy Nigerian, when they get sick, where they go abroad. Come on, are you going to tell me what?
At Okpa, you are a real estate expert in Dallas, Texas. If you were one of the advisors of the Nigerian president, Tinubu, what would you tell him?
Real estate is what I study, but, I know so many things, not because I am smarter than anybody, just because since I've been in America, I've been fortunate to be in many boards and commissions. I have the records to prove it. If I were to be with Tinubu, I'll say, Mr. President, one thing you have to do, you have to earn the confidence of Nigerians. And the way you're going to do it is you're going to have to travel physically to if possible, within the next 100 days, see if you can go to every state in Nigeria and have a town hall meeting. Just sit there, don't speak to them, let people get on the microphone, 1 minute or 2 minutes, and say, what do you want? And have people record it. Then you can thank them for the audience, and then you go back and you sift through all that and come up with a policy. It is easy to sit down with some people and produce, just like the document, what is his name, Buhari produced about his accomplishment. Anybody who's either idiot or stupid will buy into those things. You go to Nigeria. I go to Nigeria every year, and I physically go When I fly in, I drive by road because I want to feel what the people feel. You go to the market, you go to schools, you go to university. Go to University of Nigeria. The university that has the name of Nigeria in it, you will cry. Just nothing there. Then you go to University of Lagos or Ibadan. So what is the pride of the nation? It's not your mansion. I don't care about how big your house is or how many Rolls Royces you drive. It's about the public good. The things that gives a country the prestige. You go to the airport. When you land in Lagos, there are no other airport. Is it not the same Murtala Mohammed Airport? Over there, the immigration people are still writing people's, names, like they are doing when we were in elementary school. So what is it that the country has gained in 24 years if democracy is a panacea for economic development? Nigeria has not proven that it is. Because again, the singular example of the devaluation of Naira. By now, the Naira should have gone from $12,000 it was in 1999, probably going to $20,000. Remember, when Obasanjo got in there, a few years, there was debt forgiven for Nigeria. Nigerian debt, some of them were forgiven, some of them were suspended, some of them were canceled. If you are in America, okay, when we do our credit reporting, when your debt is, canceled or forgiven, that means your credit score goes up. But in the case of a nation, the same thing. So your credibility to be able to attract quality loan and quality financing should improve. It has not improved in the case of Nigeria. When Buhari took over, Nigerian foreign debt was like $9 or $10 billion. When he left, it was 96. So how do you justify that? What was the money being borrowed for?
Tinubu, in his inaugural speech, said that the fact that you have peaceful transfer of power in Nigeria is a
that doesn't mean anything. Kenya has never had.
Why can't you give them that credit that instead of military coups,
Kenya is one African country. Kenya is one African country since independence. They have never had any military coup. So that doesn't mean anything. Look, you can transfer power. It's good they are doing it, but what does that do for the average Nigerian? Like my wife always asks me, what has that got to do with the price of bread? Democracy in Nigeria is about benevolence. It's about how benevolent the president or the governors are, because they are the executive of either the states and the nation. It's not about agency. When you have an agency democracy, then you have sort of delegated authorities to the various agencies of government to do the job they're supposed to do, and they don't have to do it to appease you or please you, provided what they are doing is good for the benefit of the people. But in the case of Nigeria, just like when what is his name? Rotimi Amechi, the Minister for Transport. When he went to the National Assembly, this is somebody who served under Buhari, he said, I am asking for this amount of money to build railroads. He didn't say my ministry. So you see how they personalize their role as if they own the country. That shouldn't be the case. When you go to Nigeria and see they are building a road, they put a sign and they put the name of the governor as if it's the governor's money. It is not the governor's money. If Tinubu want to be credible and depart from this nuisance, what he has to do is begin to talk about Nigeria, not about him. But he's not going to be, because the man is not intellectually rigorous. He has no intellectual vitality. He may have gotten to where he's gotten by the way he gotten to that place. I'm not jealous of him. I'm not envious of him. But I'm just saying, when you meet him, when you sit down with people who want to do the job, in America, we said it is the fire in the belly. Most Nigerian leaders don't have the fire in the belly. They are not convinced about what it is they are doing. If they go on the global stage, you almost want to puke, seeing them the way they speak, the way they cower to foreign leaders. And then when they go back home, they feel like this larger than life people because everybody worships them, everybody runs around. Have you ever been to a governor's house in Nigeria? It's like a market. Then you ask yourself, what time do these people have to really think about something they're going to do for the country? If everybody is running over here wanting to see Your Excellency, Your Excellency, you have seen some of the things I've written. What is excellent about Your Excellency? Again, you don't have water system in Nigeria. Maybe you have a limited part of it in Abuja. No state in Nigeria has a water system. Now let's make the differentiation. Water system and water supply. They are two different things. So Nigeria, to say they are the giant of Africa, they have all these educated people, how come water You're in a tropical country. You haven't been able to engineer it and process it to serve Nigerians. Nigerians still buy water from tanks.
But as you yourself see at OPA, Nigeria is a complex conglomeration of religious, ethnic competing forces. If you were the president of Nigeria, with all these problems that you truthfully laying out, where would you start?
When you start by speaking with the people.
Somebody's going to tell you that. Somebody's going to tell you that it's easy to sit on the sidelines and criticize. Where would you start if you were Tinubu?
No. If I were Tinubu, like I said it, if I were Tinubu, what I would do in the next 100 days in office, if he's physically able to do it, is to make sure he visits all the political zones and have a town hall meeting and really come out looking like a servant leader. Africans don't have servant leaders. Go over there and say, look, the election wasn't perfect. Maybe the court will turn around for against me, but right now, the all buck stops here. What do you want from me? What would you expect me to do? And then he should assure Nigerians that he's not going to go abroad for medical treatment. Let the Nigerian doctors take over treating their own political figures. It's a laughing joke or laughing matter that Nigeria says, oh, we have the best doctors, but then there's no confidence of your political people to allow you to treat them. Can you imagine a president of America going to London for medical treatment? In fact, we will kick him out of office. We kick him out, but Nigerians don't have the shame. You go to London, you fly, and nobody knows how much this is costing the taxpayer. So all I'm just saying, Tinubu reverse those things. It's now Nigerians are all eyes on you, because after a while, they're going to forget about you. All eyes on you. Go against what your former people did. Even though Buhari may have anointed you, selected you, and you got selected and elected, I don't care. You now the captain of the ship. You're going to sell it. Your name is on that ship. The destination is how you want it to. Go and speak with Nigerians. Don't talk to Nigerians. Don't talk at Nigerians. Lower your ego. Lower this exaggerated importance you have as Jagbada or whatever they call you. Don't even, if I tell Nigerians, don't address you as your excellency, except if they write you an official letter. Let them call you Mr. President or Mr. Tinubu. Take pride in that. And don't overload your card with all this professor doctor. Tell Nigerians, please, let me do the job. If after 4 years, if I make it 4 years, or 8 years, if I make it 4 years, then you can say I'm excellent. But right now, let's hold off on this your excellency bullshit that they do to impress themselves. And at the end of the day, they're as empty as an empty barrel. Look, go to Nigeria.
You seem to lay the blame exclusively on the leadership. Here is what one American president said. That was John F. Kennedy. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. What are you, especially in the diaspora, what are you doing to invest, to deploy the knowledge, the experience that you've had in the United States, Europe, and elsewhere in Nigeria to bring Nigeria to the level that you want?
I usually when I make claims, I do that with documents. Since 1989, I've been writing Nigerian government. But let me even tell you, 1995, I wrote then Governor Bush of Texas about telecommunication issues in Texas, because I was getting frustrated as, an immigrant calling Nigeria was going, costing me more money. I wrote him out of frustration. I didn't even know whether, changing anything on the telecommunication sector has to do with the governor. But he got my letter and he replied me. And a law was passed in 1995, the year I became an American citizen, thanking me for my insights. That's what leaders do. Leadership is about the people-led influencing the leader. And not Nigerians look at leadership from authority point of view. You don't get anything done when you're authoritative. You have to listen to the people. Let the people's concerns and demands and expectations and aspirations influence you into policies that make it work for you. And Nigerians are not cut off for that. You see a local chief, he wants you to recognize them and bow to them and to put on all the stuff they do. At the end of the day, they are so distracted, they don't even focus on what matters. What I'm saying is, it's a new day. It's somebody who is there, elected or selected, however he's gotten there, he's gotten there. Let him begin to do something that will appeal, not appease, appeal to Nigerians. And that is going to be their concern, getting paid on time. He should tell his ministers, no minister should get paid until everybody in the ministry is paid. And then, you know what other thing Tinubu has to do? It has to deal with the Indians, Pakistanis, Lebanese that are destroying Nigerian economy. Those people and Turkish people, he has to focus on Nigerians. This is not something to be, racial or something. If the things Lebanese, Indians, Pakistanis, Turkish people do in Nigeria, if you do it in their country, they will roast you alive. So why should you let them come over there, destroy your economy, destroy your banking system, do money laundering, pollute your leadership, and control them? You go to Nigeria.
Here's the question I have for you, Ed.
Yes.
When you run for president, obviously your friends will support you.
Of course.
So, and when you win, when you become president, are you going to ignore the people, the friends that were campaigning in the rain and sun, hot sun, and give ministerial appointments to other people when there were people who supported them?
Yes. Have you read the book between, what is his name? Again, I don't want to use an American name, Lincoln, when he won, okay? What I'm saying is electioneering is different from leadership. When the people who are supporting you, then they may not necessarily like you. They may be supporting you because you might be the meal ticket or whatever it is. Once you win and you take that oath of office, it's no longer about your friends. It's no longer about those who are cheering you. It's about everybody else. In fact, the people who didn't support you are the ones you have to go and gain their confidence. They are the ones you have to go in and see what it is. Maybe next time, if I do this, they're going to support me, or they are even more likely. It's not even all of that. But the Nigerian thing is about this, clique of people who said, now, some people be dancing, my mind is over there, my friend is over there, I'm going to go get contract. That's not what this is about. In fact, Tinubu again should say that every contract I'm going to award that is more than X amount of naira is going to be disclosed. I'm going to disclose who gets the contract so that everybody will know. But he's not going to say it because he's a product of a corrupt upbringing that got him into the power. But again, you can be a sinner, and then after you have sinned, you become a saint. That means you have repented. And that's going to be the shock, because that's what we're going to make people, rally for him.
People who are jostling for all kinds of positions. And I can imagine, I really don't envy Tinubu now, because you have the Fulanis, the Igbos, the Yorubas. Everybody wants a piece of the cake. Everybody wants to be minister in the cabinet. I can understand the intense pressure under which he finds himself. But as I said, when people run for office, the people who are running for office in Africa, Nigeria, one of the African countries, these are people who graduated from Harvard, like you. These are people who graduated from Oxford, from Yale, Princeton, Sorbonne in France, top level universities. Why is it that when they go back to Nigeria, they are not, in spite of the cultures of accountability that they were exposed to, they just become what you are denouncing here? What's happening?
No, look, Divine, thank you for bringing this up. At the beginning, you say you're going to provoke me. You have been doing a very good job at it. Look, let me tell you, because somebody went to an Ivy League school and is able to memorize things, take a test, and they handed a paper, doesn't actually make them, what you think they are. There are a lot of people who just can do that. Then there are people who just by nature, they are endowed intellectually, and they can figure things out. You don't have to be an expert. You know what it takes to be an American president? just be 35 years of old, 35 years of age, born in this country, and for 12 years to the date you file, you have lived in America consistently. So there's no elective office in America that requires an education certificate for you to have. None. Even to become a Supreme Court Justice of the United States, you don't have to be a lawyer. Okay, I have read the history of this, so let's not go there. My point is, find those Nigerians who have a passion to see the country succeed. Remember, I mean, they brought in Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, first Minister for Finance and later Minister for Economy and something. And then after she finished, she ran out. The last finance minister for Nigeria, before the last one, I don't know whether she's going to get reappointed. After she served Buhari, she left, she resigned on a Monday or whatever. The next 2 days, she was back in London. You don't need Nigerians who are two-timing. You don't need people who want to say, oh, my family is in London, I'm going to go do the job in Nigeria. No, you need a family, a man who will be there, or a woman with his or her family. So go through the pain of strikes in hospitals, strikes in school, because that way they can now go to the Mr. President and say, hey, we got to change this. Not people, their kids are overseas, and then they're in Nigeria serving. In fact, Buhari should, no, sorry, it's not Buhari. Tinubu should make every minister to say, I will not send my kids to foreign school. If that's going to be the case, you don't need to serve me. If you have kids that are already there, let them be there. But if they're not the ones, let them take that oath, and then make them not to use any academic title. If you are John Brown, that's all you be. John Brown, minister of this, but not professor, doctor, but I'm engineer, all those things. No. Humanize yourself to the Nigerians and not come in intimidating with all these degrees. At the end of the day, oh my God, if Nigerians are those smart, how come they haven't built 10,000 good roads in their country? How come electricity that's been there for 127 years is not working? How come they cannot even have water system? How come they can't even take care of the trash? You know, you look at Nigerian railway that was built by the colonial people, you go over there, all of those things have been destroyed. So I'm not impressed with people flashing their degrees. I am impressed by people who get the job done. And
some people are going to tell you in Nigeria, watching you in the streets of Lagos, that great, you talking as an American boy, looking at us back in Africa, in Lagos, in the streets of Abeokuta, through the eyeglasses of an American or a Nigerian American. Calm down, and the reality is different.
Oh yeah, I would do that.
Are you not expecting things happening overnight in Africa? It took 300 years, and America is still not a perfect country. If you look at the history of George Washington, who founded this country, there are reports of gross human rights abuses that he carried out, war crimes, but we're not talking about American War of Independence. The point I'm making is, if it's taken 300 years for America to not even be perfect, why do you think Nigeria should take 60 years only and be what you want it to be?
Thank you. I'll give you another example. It took America 106 years after independence to have electricity. 1776 to what? 1882. Do the math. That's what the number is. More than a century. In fact, it took an American president more than a century to leave America to go to another country. And now, where did they go? Panama. Nigeria had electricity 64 years before independence, 1896 to 1960. So you don't have to wait for 300 years. There are a lot of things now you can do. You can copy and paste. But the thing is, do you have the will to paste? I mean, when I came to America, okay, I was the regional appraisal manager for FDIC, the only Black person who has served that role in less than 3 years I came to this country. Okay, there was only 12 computers at the regional office. The regional office covered 8 states. I was one of the people, because I was a regional manager. I had it. I wasn't even using it. I didn't. So by 1995, a lot of American companies don't even have computers. But you see how they cut out. See, I was in this country when seatbelt became a law. I was in this country when telephone became what it is today, that you can take your number from Maryland and move to Texas. You don't have to change it. Before, you can't. You have to live in the same area that your area code allowed. So Nigeria doesn't have to wait. All you have to do is find people. In fact, you should take advantage. You should do it faster, because now they have done it, perfected it, they have failed, they have changed it. You can copy those things and put it on you. But so the excuse of 300 years, that's not true. America growth for the past 30 years has been tremendous because of what? Policy changes. Let me tell you, at the time in Texas, the doctors were not practicing in Texas because of malpractices. They get sued. Okay? They get sued. And they move out because doctors don't want to be sued. They get sued. It wasn't until Rick Perry, the former governor, came in, and then there was a thought reformer that now capped what you can do, how we can sue doctors. And then doctors started coming back. And then now, of course, it's booming. And then, you have economic, development. PhD in economics is not economic development. Nigeria and African countries haven't figured out what economic development is. It's a set of policies that don't even have to be national. It has to be localized. So if you're in Enugu or Abeokuta, Sokoto, whatever, it may not apply to you, but you have to localize those things in order to do what? Create an economic base.
I'm talking about localizing it. There are countries which have centralized governments. They're wishing they had what Nigeria has, that is a federal structure. Why is federalism not working in Nigeria? I mean, you would think that local governors are responsible for their various states. Why is federalism not working in Nigeria? Because
Nigerians are very tribal people. I was born and raised in Enugu, the capital of former Biafra. Okay, you know the history of my dad. He was a political figure. My sister was a first lady. Her husband was one of the military governors. But all of that is, so when you travel from a state, okay, when you travel from Enugu to Imo State, which is another Igbo state, do you know they may not even give you a job? The Igbos live in the smallest tribal land in Nigeria. The size of the Igbo 5 states is about 14,000 square miles. Since 1999 to date, if you look at the total budget of the 5 Igbo states, it has been close to $100 billion. Are you listening to me? Do the math. $100 billion in 24 years by 5 Igbo states. In a place smaller, the longest part of Igbo land is 126 miles north and south, and the east and west is about 85 miles. Calculate that, you can figure out how big it is. But do you know in that 5 states, there's nothing there? Because the Igbos may be saying they're very smart, they are the reason Nigeria, doing well or not doing well, or they're being marginalized. The Igbos are the most divisive, tribalistic people in Nigeria because they don't even like themselves. So now they carry this whole thing to non-Igbo places and they're getting pushed back. So the reason Nigeria is not doing well, it is hard to find a detribalized Nigerian. In fact, when you try to be detribalized, your people gonna push back against you. My wife is Yoruba, although born in America. I get people like, oh my God, why did you go to Yoruba land to marry? But the point is, Nigerians that said, hold on a second, Nigerians that said they will come here and marry people who they come from a criminal background. You know that what they call Osu? Osu is this caste system Igbo people do. And it has to do with a whole bunch of things in the history of their family. The same thing that an American will do that will label them Osu. Nigerians will come here and marry them, but they will not marry their own. So there's a lot of mental adjustment and self-assessing things that Africans and especially Nigerians have to do in order to realize that, look, God is not going to come here and give them any special concessions. They have to cure themselves of the things that are inhibiting them from being a player on the world stage. Right now, they are playing, but other people are doing the referee on them. And that is what...
when you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, it was designed later on, modified to allow for the presidency to rotate. In other words, after 8 years, beginning of 8 years, maybe you have a northerner, and then if he wins re-election, you have another 4 years, and then when the 8 years are over, then you have a southerner. I'm thinking that was designed to solve the problem that we are raising. Why is it not solving the problem, sir?
Look, I don't have any problem with rotation, if that's what is going to make them fine. But, so if if it's time for your zone, to get whatever it is, if it's somebody who doesn't have it, you have to put there, you put there. See, again, that is the problem, but I see the reason for that. But you know what? Now that Nigeria has like 6 political zones, I have written a paper and I said, Nigerians, it's going to take up more than 50 years for Nigerians to become citizens. Nigerians are tribalists, they are not citizens. Citizens build countries, tribal people look inward. Nigerians look inward and it's always about their place of origin. So if you see a Hausa man who has lived in Enugu all their life, he can't even go and run for governor or senate from that place. They will remind you, go back to Sokoto, even though you may not have. So Nigerians have to begin to record where you live is your home, regardless of the ancestry. And if you are good for this place. In fact, we want to keep you. When I came to America, I ran for mayor. Yeah, all I have to do is prove my residency. And when they kicked me out, said that I wasn't qualified, I sued the city of Dallas and I won. So that is a precedent. But in Nigeria, can an Hausa man go to Enugu and sue? I have the right to run for governor. In fact, they bundle you out. Or Igbo man is Sokoto doing it. Or Yoruba. You saw what happened in this last election, where the governor of Lagos now was threatening Igbos, if you vote other ways, we're going to kick you out. That is the problem. I don't care what is written in the books. Constitution is a living thing. If the individuals are not willing to act to the letters of the Constitution, it doesn't mean anything. Nigerians are very tribalistic, even with the Yoruba people. This Tinubu, nobody knows what part of Yoruba he comes from, but he has managed to be where he is. So the thing is, the individual is what makes a country thrive, makes a country successful, not the Constitution. I mean, what is the Constitution of United Kingdom? Have you ever seen that? They don't do that. So as you grow, you become, you migrate mentally, as opposed to physically. Africans migrate physically, but they don't migrate mentally. And you could see that example with those of us who are in America. I'm Cameroonian, I'm Nigerian, I'm Ghanaian, and we all go around wearing clothes like we're in our villages, and we don't even network. We socialize, we don't network. So citizens network. And they want to know, hey, Divine, what are you working on? What can I help you with? This is what I'm working on. But when you start to do that with Africans or Nigerians, they think you are bragging. No, you are sharing information. And then that could be a by the way. Oh, by the way, in the business I am, I don't advertise. I have gotten a lot of things by the way. Oh, Mr. Opa, you are this, you have served in this position. Would you like to do X, Y, Z? That is what citizens do. Africans need to start to become citizens of their country and not, about the tribe they come from in that particular country.
You are watching Voices of Africa, and my guest this week is Global Affairs Analyst Ed Okpa. You can watch this show on our broadcast website, www.chatniteafrica.net. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube. My name is Divine Shamakong. I'm the host on this platform. I will be right back after this little interlude.
Do solemnly swear.
The national and defense flags are lowered.
Chatnite Africa, Chatnite Africa.
It's the 29th of May, the day when Nigeria transitions from one administration to another every 4 years. The Eagle Square in Abuja is littered with security agencies and radiates beauty from the decorations and the colorful outfits of invited guests who await the arrival of the main actors of the day, the outgoing and incoming president. In attendance are the outgoing Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, former President Goodluck Jonathan, and former head of state General Yakubu Gowon, presidents of Ghana, Rwanda and South Africa, as well as government officials, federal lawmakers, royal fathers and state governors in whose states there will be no handover are all in attendance. The president-elect and his wife arrive and are received by the outgoing secretary to the government of the Federation. The arrival of President Muhammadu Buhari signifies the commencement of the event. Straight away, the Vice President-elect takes his oath of office, administered by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Then comes the man of the moment, Senator Bola Tinubu, for his oath of office.
I, Bola Tinubu, do solemnly swear.
I want to thank the news agencies that were present to cover this occasion, beautiful occasion in Nigeria. And from the reports we got snippets to use on our broadcast, we give them credit. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Voices of Africa. My name is Divine Nchamukong. On this platform, we have 3 programs running: Healthline, Family Matters, Voices of Africa. And on Voices of Africa today, once again, let's welcome global affairs analysts, virulent critique of global affairs, Mr. Ed Okpa, on the platform. Ed Okpa, it's true that Tinubu takes over under the cloud of a disputed election victory. Are you people, Nigerian diasporans, willing to put behind all these squabbles about elections, who won, who lost, to rally behind the current president? He's been sworn in by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. There's nothing you can do about it. Are you willing to rally behind him and support him, because he cannot do this work alone? Are you going to do that?
Look, thank you for the question. Diaspora, I don't like the word. I don't use it. I came to America to be an American. Okay, my ancestry as a Nigerian is never in doubt. I visit because I still have families. Am I ever going to return to Nigeria to live? The chances are less than 1%. But if I see an opportunity to do anything for my country of birth, I will do it. I have done things. I can give you universities where I go and give free lecture. I have donated books. I have done all kinds of stuff. But am I going to put a U-Haul in my house and one day say I'm moving to Nigeria? It's not going to happen. But the point is going to say, for those who consider them diaspora, I don't like to do things where it's one leg in, one leg out. Leadership is not a cakewalk. You have to be present to win. You have to be there, deal with the people, relate to the people, hear them out. So the diaspora thing, how many Nigerians live in America? It's less than 500,000 people. And then of that people, how many of them are really interested? So my focus should be, or my interest would be, the Nigerian who is at home, who is committed to be there physically. And how can you enable him or her mentally to begin to see that the opportunities are there and they have to engage their leadership. Leadership by authority doesn't get anything done. It has to be by influence. The classic definition of leadership is the ability to lead with or without authority. The Nigerians look for authority. And you don't have to, if you live in Enugu, what is your business with the guy who lives in Ibadan? I live in Dallas, Texas. I don't care about Oklahoma. I don't care about for what. Of course, if you attack them as a foreign thing, then America will come at you. But you have to localize where you are. What is the governor doing? What is the House of Assembly? What are the comparative advantage you have to enable you build a robust economic base? That is what matters. The person in Sokoto may never even visit Enugu. Enugu may never visit Sokoto. So regionalize and localize it. The Nigerians think they have to be everywhere. They have to spread themselves thin, which they do. That's why nothing works. What is the budget of Nigeria? What is the budget? The budget of Nigeria is less than the budget of most university systems in America, but it doesn't matter. You could stretch the dollar, you could stretch the naira if you know how to use. In fact, public debt is not a bad thing. In fact, when you have debt's supposed to help you do better. That's like when you borrow money, supposed to help you do better. But in the case of Nigeria, of all the money they have borrowed, what works? What is one sector of Nigeria that they can put as a glaring example of the smartness and the intelligence of the pile of degrees and certificates Nigerians have? Tell me, is it in the banking? Okay, now people are celebrating, what is his name? Dangote Refinery. You go look at Dangote, the richest black man in the world. There is no company associated with that man that is worth $1 a share. Go look at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now, everybody's jumping up and down about the refinery. Refinery is not a very complex technology to do. In fact, the chemistry level 1 or 2 chemical engineering can formulate a refinery. But Nigeria, that has been producing oil for more than 60-70 years, don't even have one working. That is why you hear all these subsidies going to be removed because the crude is refined abroad and is brought back. Those are added costs. That is what is choking the Nigeria. By now, Nigeria should be able, because you only need to refine half a million barrels of oil daily to satisfy the local consumption. So the excess of 1 point something that you produce, you could sell it and have that as a foreign exchange reserve. But your refinery should be working, and then the byproduct of petrochemical could enable you for plastics and chemicals and other things that come from a barrel of oil. But Nigeria hasn't been able to do it.
You mentioned the word here. Since you're talking about petroleum, Nigeria extracts or is blessed with a lot. I mean, enormous petroleum resources. Bola, in his inaugural speech, said all subsidies, which have been in place since 1970, according to my research, the subsidies are going away. And the consequence, maybe unintended consequence, is that prices go up. Okay, prices go up, virtually everything's going to be very expensive in Nigeria. Do you have the impression that that was a well thought out policy? Did he look downstream to see the consequence of taking away subsidies, oil subsidies?
Okay, it's one of those political moves. What's the benefit? Nigerians now, the lines are lining up at the filling stations, so people are beginning to hoard, refined product, and the black market is going to increase. So I don't know what that's going to lead to. I hope it's going to be something good. But the point I'm trying to make, the emphasis of Nigeria having oil is over-exaggerated. Look, 200 or 150 million people. Nigeria is the poorest country of all the oil-producing countries in the world on a per capita basis. So you have 200 or 150 million people producing 2 million barrels of oil a day. Texas alone, which we don't even have government control on except for the regulations, produces about three times of what Nigeria produces. And so when you look at that, at the end of the day, oil is a commodity and you sell it based on the price per barrel. So how much can Nigeria get? Nigeria's not going to get more than what everybody else is selling their own. So if oil is trading at $70 per barrel, you could multiply that all day long and see how much. But when you're going home, you're going to look at 200 million mouths. What is their name? Qatar, that just hosted the World Cup. They produce about the same amount of oil that Nigeria produces. But how many Qataris there are? Less than 500,000 of them. You could see that that's why their per capita is huge. So when you divide how much Nigeria gets from oil, you see that it's very low. And then you say Nigeria is the largest economy. Of course, by the sheer size of the population, is the largest economy. But when you look at it, there's not a correspondent or commensurate revenue from that volume of activity that supports the federal government budget. Most states in Nigeria don't even have $1 billion budget, Divine. $1 billion. And when you look at the budget they do, 70-80% of it goes to recurring expenses. Very little is for new capital projects. And that is why you have a lot of abandoned, uncompleted, rush projects. Nigeria is littered with that. There are buildings that were started by Shagari that are still not completed. It's because the revenue stream of Nigeria has not been properly streamlined to where the activities of 200 million people is going to kick off enough money into the government spending. That time, then Nigeria will have the credit worthiness to be able to borrow money internally or externally. But right now, they're all pledging, the foreign exchange, their foreign reserve. Divine, like in America, where we live, okay? If you don't have good credit, the bank wants you to have a CD, certificate of a deposit, and they're going to lend you money to the extent of your CD. But if you are credit worthy, you don't have to have CD, and then they lend you money because you are dependable, reliable. Nigeria is not a reliable debtor. And so the emphasis on oil has to be removed. Can Nigerians begin to do farming, agriculture? They do a lot of it, but it's not being processed. A lot of the food produced in Nigeria go to waste because they don't have refrigeration, they don't have logistics.
I'm coming to that, and that leads me to my next question. When you look at the myriad of problems that are ahead of Bola Tinubu. Tinubu, yeah. You would rather run away from office than run for office. Honestly, it's
In fact, the challenge is
overwhelming. But the question I'm asking you, if you look at Nigeria today, like, by the way, most African countries, Cameroon, the same thing, Ghana, the same thing. You can go on and on and on. The problem of insecurity and unemployment are really high on the bar. What would it take to fight insecurity in Nigeria? We hear of kidnapping and so on for ransom, killings and so on. What would it take to fight that and also fight unemployment?
Thank you for that question. I don't want to say it's the best you have asked, but you know what? Public safety is about what? Safety of the individual and safety of properties. If those factors are not in place, there's no way you're going to attract the sort of investment either from your domestic resources or from your foreign. If anybody's lending you money on the foreign, they are lending you money as a vulture. They're going to come in there and choke you. So Nigeria, if you look at Nigeria, has a national police, which what most African countries do because of their colonial history. So if you look at the Nigerian Police Department or Nigerian Police Force, look at their budget. And you see the police is still like the colonial police, even now they've gotten worse. Because there are more, they don't have equipment. You call Nigerian police, they might say, oh, okay, we don't have fuel. If you want to send us car to come pick us. Or you see police on the road, you give them a ride. So your police is supposed to be the most respected force in a civilian government, not your military. In Nigeria, just like when Buhari was there for 8 years, they were using Nigerian military to find insurgent or terrorist. It shouldn't be. If you have a robust local law enforcement, police, they can deal with that. Or you have your special forces, but not to where you are using, military helicopters and soldiers to go fight your own people. That's a no-no. In fact, that is where I give Buhari a 0 because he was a former general. He could not for 8 years deal with that insurgent. It's a shame on him. But let's go back to public safety. Until public safety is addressed, i.e. where you can get up 6 p.m. by 6 p.m. in Nigeria, you don't go anywhere. I was in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, when I went on this last trip. When he got 6, my cousin said, no, we're not going back to Enugu. Enugu is only 36 kilometers, about 36 miles from where we were. He said, no, we're not going. Divine, you and I live here. You could have just gone to New York and be back. So by 6, if by 6 o'clock, the economy of the country that is, that people who go to work at night or people who go to club or whatever is shut down. So the Nigerian potential economy is shut down 60-70% because a lot of people just don't move. There are people who live in Lagos Island, they don't want to go to mainland because of, again, the issue of transportation and the issue. So Tinubu, if he knows what it is he's going to be doing, he should address the issue of public safety. Now, these other things, they have a regional something, civilian people do it. No, if it requires restructuring Nigerian police, to where the Nigerian police become a respectable institution, look at that. But again, the fear about that is that then the governors might start using the police to do their own thing. The benefit in America is our police is independent. I have been to the Dallas Police Citizens Program, and I have been to the FBI Citizens Program. So I have 60 hours of law enforcement understanding. And so, I wrote a paper back when Tafawa Balogun, who was Inspector General of Police when Obasanjo was there, about how to supplement the Nigerian police effort by community policing. I wrote that policy. I still have a picture of it. Public safety, if you look at our budget, for instance, in Dallas, the budget of Dallas is almost 3 billion. Do you know who takes the biggest money out of that budget? The police department, because we want to feel safe. So the police gets the highest amount of money out of our budget. But
and so let's go on, because we're going to wrap up very soon. Let's go on to unemployment. Yes. What would it take to fight unemployment in Nigeria?
The unemployment, a lot of Nigerian, college-educated people are not even employable. Because, first of all, they don't have anything you can employ them for. A lot of them can't even write a simple memo. A lot of them don't even have communication ability. The emphasis has been on the wrong education. You need people who can be what? Who can make glasses, who can be carpenters, bricklayers. Nigerians have come to where they are shunning these sectors. Everybody wants to have a degree, so we have a lot of them graduating with a degree that at the end of the day is not going to do anything for a country that wants to do what? Revive itself. So, but what you do is now the things about waste management. Do you know if cities can take that as a sector? You could have thousands of people employed, and then you build a water system. There are ways, and then you do the business. You begin to register Nigerian businesses. You don't have to be limited company. Just doing business but you have a record of who they are, where their physical location is, and you start to do what? Even if you pledge 1 billion naira. Okay, 1 billion naira is a whole lot of budget for most of Nigerian government. But let's say you pledge 1 billion naira, which is 1.something million, and you target small businesses in the area. I'm sure they are doing some of it, but a lot of it is corrupt. It's not going to the people who need it. Some of these government officials, become fronts, and they take the money from the people they're supposed to receive it. But if you do that, you begin to train people on something that at least at the end of the day, whatever it is you're earning is able to help you go home. If it's in a flat or one room that you live in, you can pay for it while you aspire for the next level. Nigeria is there's a lot of young people in the country. And the reason is because, when people don't have anything to do, what are they going to do? They jump on their spouses and they start making babies. The more your income increases, you see most people don't want to have many babies. So, but right now, for the next 20 years, the effort has to be, how do you create opportunities? Local, small businesses. In America, 80% of our businesses are small businesses, but these are formalized small businesses. A lot of Nigerian businesses are not formalized. You can't track them. You can't assess them for tax purposes. You can't assess them for anything, credit, or you can't extend credit to them. So those are the challenge. Again, I wish Tinubu well. I don't live there. I have no intention of living there. But I will visit because I have family. But I will keep talking about things that I know can help my country of birth.
My last question, since we must go at some point, we're about to wrap up. If you remove, of all you've said, if you remove the word Nigeria and fit Cameroon, it just reads smoothly. If you remove Cameroon and fit Ghana, you think we've been talking about Ghana. So is it an African problem, or what is it that all African countries, especially Black Africa, seem to have the same storyline? What is going on? Ed Okpa, Global Affairs Analyst.
Thank you again for another.
That's my last question.
Thank you again for another beautiful question. Yeah, whatever I say about Nigeria, you could put it on Ghana. I was in Ghana 2021. And then, I visited, in fact, I was in Zimbabwe in 1996 and all of those stuff. It's the same thing. There's something I said, blood does not lie. I wrote some article way back when I looked at African Americans and the way they carry on. Granted that they have civil rights and racism stuff, when you go to neighborhoods or cities run by African Americans, you're just going to shake your head because it's like they're doing it the way Africans do it. The point is, for the Africans, you see, a lot of the constitutions Africans have or have adopted, they were written by white Western experts. They concentrated power on the president. That's why today, if somebody wants to do business in Nigerian oil sector, they say, I want to talk to the president. And the president will receive it. You know, while Buhari was in office, he never had a minister for petroleum. Obasanjo didn't have a minister as well. So you see something similar about those two people. They were all controlling the oil. If you want an oil deal in Nigeria, you got to go see them. If you devolve and centralize the sectors and create them like an agency, you know, where you do a matching budget system. Look, you on your own. The only way the federal government will give you money is if you produce this amount, we match you. Right now is a cap in hand states they have. Every time, every month, the states go to Abuja and their money, you know, is given to them, and they go back and they decide how they're going to share it. No Nigerian state is doing a matching budget system, i.e., if you generate 1 billion, the federal government will match you. Put a challenge on them. Let them start to compete. In America, we compete. We work companies from other states. I have served on the Texas Bank for Economic Development. And then, you know, we have this thing we do that's called domestic expansion. So the Africans have copied something, or the Westerners go over there and wrote this constitution, and then the African people haven't come in to do what? To change it, because we still want to be a traditional country in a modern state, because we go back and you want to go visit your village chief and bow down and do all of that. Get rid of those things. I think the mistake most African countries made was to keep all those traditional chiefs and institutions. They by now should do away with them. We don't want to do them. We have a proper structured government entity. If you want to do your own local chief, the government has no hand in it. They're not going to give you any money. You support that institution or let it, you know, phase. So the thing for Africa, I have hope. I'm a black guy. You know, if you see my name, you don't have to think twice where I come from. But we have to begin to be critical of each other, not criticizing. I'm not criticizing, I'm being critical. And there's a difference. And we have to start questioning even our own parents. You know, a lot of Africans can't even have conversation with their father. When I came to America, the first person I was angry at was my father, because he was a chief in Eastern Nigeria. I said, Papa, what were you guys doing? What were you guys doing with all this, you know, chief, the honorable, you know, nothing was going on. My father laughed and said, you know what, son, because you did this to me, you're going to do well in America. That is me. I am not impressed by money. The degree I don't have is the one I don't want. I am impressed about how does the poorest person in that country be able to get on the road and do what they have to do. And when they do work, you pay them. In fact, you should pay them more or first before you pay yourself. But in Nigeria, a lot of company CEOs will not pay their people, and they go to Dubai for party, or they go do, you know, child's naming ceremony or wedding, not paying their people. You don't do stuff like that. You don't stifle your people. That's why in Nigeria, a lot of people are what? Vicious. That's why the kidnapping happens. People are angry. People are mad. They kidnap even their oga and their madam. Because even when you are made, you know, if you're made in Nigeria, you might as well have been a slave in America. They abuse their maid. They don't pay them. You know, even when you have a security guard, you see army officers slapping junior officers. Would you do that in America? So these are things black people do on themselves, or Africans, and we ignore it. So we have to begin to question ourselves and challenge ourselves and say, this is not good. I don't care about the president. I'm not going to be a president of Nigeria. I'm not going to do that. But you know what? I want to live a fulfilling life, and I wish every African to live a fulfilling life. The way you're going to do it is to be critical of your parents, your local chief, and your politicians.
Thank you so much, Ed Okpa, live from Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you this edition will be very, very hot. If you've watched it on my platform, he doesn't put water in his mouth to speak, like we say in Africa. Thank you so much for being very intrusive, daring, I would even say, in your analysis. Usually people say these things behind closed doors in their bedrooms. You don't worry about coming to express your views on Chatnite Africa. That's publicly. The whole idea is to jolt us Africans out of our comfort nest. That's the whole idea of bringing people who challenge a conventional reasoning, people who challenge the status quo. That's how I can summarize it. You can watch other programs like Healthline, Family Matters, and Voices of Africa, which you've been watching the last 90 minutes on our platform. We are on www.chatniteafrica.net. Talk to your friends about it. We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere. I cannot go without thanking my producer in Lagos, who is producing this program thousands of miles from where I am in Washington, D.C. Roger Full, you are doing a formidable job. I want to also thank all the friends who have been so generous to support this platform so that it looks the way it does. Audiovisual broadcasting is very, very expensive. Finally, if you'd like to support us, please, we are open, but what we will not take is instructions that, well, we support you with this, but you must not take it at OCPA because it's very critical. We believe fiercely in the independence of journalism here on this platform. You can support us on condition that you will not dictate what content we take and how we do it. Thank you. My name is Divine Chamokong. I will meet you again sometime soon, probably on Family Matters, still on this platform. I appreciate all of you who've been watching. Spread the message. Be ambassadors, good ambassadors of Chatnite Africa. That's how collectively we can change Africa. Thank you for watching. And that's how in French, I say merci à tout le monde and good luck, goodbye to President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria and the new team. I am sure that after 4 years at OCPA will take his microscope again to come and look at what you are doing. Bye for now. I love you all. Bye.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming to get down. I'm coming to dance, We're gonna dance, we're gonna get down, we're gonna party hardy. We're gonna boogie woogie, and when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here, it's dynamite. I'm ready, I'm coming back. I'm coming back.